needs of the Police Service Commission according to the constitutional expectations, because the framework within which we operate is quite different from the other service commissions. So any review you take will have to treat the Police Service Commission in light of what I've said earlier on, with such differentials in mind. For example, the major terms of reference as agreed between the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and the Police Service Commission is as follows: to conduct a review of the relevant constitutional sections regarding the Police Service Commission's mandate, oversight functions, and its relationship with the police service and other relevant agencies, and make recommendations to enhance and strengthen the independence, efficiency, and effectiveness of the Police Service Commission and its Secretariat. The second one is to consider the status and number of Police Service Commissioners and make recommendations for their full-time or part-time status, as well as matters of remuneration. To widen the jurisdiction of the Police Service Commission to include assistant commissioners of police and civilian heads in order to increase the efficiency of the police service. And there are 4 others which we'll pass on to the review team. So because of the fundamental difference between this service commission and the others, because of the experiences we have had over the years, because of the bipartisan pledge to have a review 2 or 3 years after the initiation of that legislation, because of all those things, and more precisely, Mr. Attorney General, as you have indicated quite clearly and detailed, the problems within the police service itself and the need for reform coming from the Police Service Commission, we need a review team within these terms of reference. There's an urgency added to it because the public expects nothing less from the Police Service Commission. And we want to stand in a short while and say, yes, we are prepared, and we are no longer prepared to be a no-teeth Rottweiler. Ms. Cox, may I now invite you with great pleasure to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I've been feeling well for the last 2 days, but I couldn't miss this for the world. I had to be here this morning, and I just want to thank you, bring greetings on behalf of the Leader of the Opposition, and to thank you for your invitation for us to be a part of these important deliberations. I must say that we indeed welcome reform of the police service, and I look forward to the collaboration between all the stakeholders represented here this morning, which we know that the outcome will redound to the benefit of the police service and, by extension, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We are interested in besides just the police service, but we are interested in the operations of the Police Service Commission Secretariat and the challenges faced. And I was reading this document, and I know there was some information concerning greater institutional autonomy of the Police Service Commission, which we are indeed interested in hearing. And the assessment, as the Attorney General mentioned, the assessment of the process of the appointment of the Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner of Police, and also greater accountability in the police service, which I've always spoken about, because I am very concerned about the detection rate of the police service. And my concern, I feel that if there's greater accountability, the detection rates will definitely increase. Also, I am interested in I'll talk on behalf of the opposition, and we are concerned about fairness at every level, and I know that the Attorney General spoke about, and he gave an example of a policeman and so on. And I think that fairness at every level in the police service is very, very important. And somehow, I feel that all of us here, although Professor Diosaran the mantle is on him, but I feel that all of us here are also responsible to work towards achieving this greater fairness in the police service. And I look forward to the deliberations. Thank you.
Very well said, Ms. Cox. We'll have a break. Refreshment is available, and we'll proceed with the further business afterwards. After that, Dr. Rai will give some explanation as to the documents you have before you. I know the Attorney General is busy, he has another appointment, but we'll continue to our business after the break, and Dr. Rai will make a presentation about some details, after which there will be a discussion for the people who are here to make some contribution, some further suggestions. Then we'll have lunch for those of you who remain. We have provided lunch for you. Anything else I should say?
We can invite the Attorney General to come back from his wheelchair.
Yeah, if you want, if you have the time, the Minister too, Minister. So I think that's about all I should tell you, though, that the Chairman of the Law Reform Commission, because we have been dealing with things from the Police Service Commission's point of view, but the committee that will carry out the terms of reference, then report to the Police Service Commission, and then carry it to the AG and the Prime Minister. That group of consolidated expertise dealing mainly with legal reform will be chaired by the Chairman of the Law Reform Commission, Mr. Samraj Haripal, who is unavoidably not here this morning. But he will be the chairman of that subcommittee, as you call it. And the names of the subcommittee will, of course, be drawn from the audience, and we'll provide you with that information in a short while. Anything else I should inform them?
Just the sheet that it will have in front of their folders, if they could just fill it out and
All right. So, Ms. Cox, you'll be hearing from us an apology for the Minister of National Security, who has another engagement at West Moorings. But Mr. Reno is here, and also Ms. Otley from the Ministry of National Security. The Director of Public Personnel Administration, we had invited her unavoidably too. She has another engagement, a press conference this morning at 10 o'clock. But she extends our best wishes for the movement forward. It does have some implications for her, but she recognized the importance of moving forward and the responsibilities we have that will be properly grounded. So she has given her blessings to this forward movement as well. So ladies and gentlemen, we have our break. The media, thank you very, very much for attending. And we'll have a break and proceed afterwards. Okay, then.
You follow? But I think it's useful, it's going to be useful to look at those, let them people come and have to see as well.
But that list just send me what we want to a little more aligned to it. Which case is it? What cases?
I'll give you the relevant ones. I'll send them to you.
Give me a little one, because I want to write it. I give him a deadline. He doesn't respond.
Who is this?
The Commissioner?
He
He doesn't respond. I'm going to give him deadlines, and I think we'll have a press conference to
my own view is I've just intimated to the chairman of the commission that as far as I'm concerned, they must not embark on this process without involving those disgruntled officers who felt that the system cheated them out of a promotion, or the system led to a malicious complaint from a member of the public that robbed them of a career that could have been one that was more illustrious. And they should hear from those officers. I represented many of those officers. The good, the bad, and the ugly. It all exists, but we must listen to them. A simple bad mind staff report from an officer who was corrupt, but who was a sergeant in charge of the station, leads to the stultification of that officer's career for the rest of his life. And good officers are driven out of the police service, while bad ones remain and prosper. There's been a lot of change in the last decade, and happily, that situation has changed somewhat, but there is still room for improvement. I think now that we have a new Commissioner of Police, it's a wonderful opportunity. We have a new Chairman of the Police Service Commission, and that partnership is one that is important so that we can all join hands and come up with something that is more effective in the public interest.
You did
care to, as we have here, Mr. Ramon, you care to give a comment on the allegations of Dr. Rowley that you requested information, personal information from banks through the FIU?
I think Dr. Rowley, in his bid to outscore his arch rival, Mr. Manning, who has recently resurfaced at a number of press conferences, is doing himself an injustice. Dr. Rowley has made a habit of targeting the Attorney General and accusing him of all sorts of things under the sun. He started off, you may recall, by accusing me of visiting the New York mission and making racist statements. Thank God, as Attorney General, or even in my personal capacity, I'd never been to New York since my appointment as Attorney General. He then went on to say that I'd given 50% of state briefs to my former law firm. I'm perhaps the only Attorney General to have not given a single brief from the state to his law firm. Not one. He said 50%. Then, of course, he came with the FIU and said that I abused my position by requesting personal banking details and information from the Financial Intelligence Unit. Nothing could be further from the truth. You saw the press release yesterday from the FIU itself denying that that is so. I have never requested the personal banking information of any citizen from the Financial Intelligence Unit, and I don't know why he'd make such spurious, wild, baseless, and malicious allegations against the Attorney General. The only conclusion I came to is that I think these civil fraud cases that are filed against top officials in the PNM administration has driven such terror and fear in the heart of the PNM that the only thing they can come up with is to attack the Attorney General and paint him as though he's some sinister, ominous kind of fella. The truth of the matter is I will do my duty without fear or favor to anyone, consistent with the oath I took when I assumed this office. And I will not allow Dr. Rowley or anyone else to drive me away from the pursuit of justice on behalf of citizens. We were voted into office to do precisely that. The country was fed up of the corruption, and the country was fed up of what the wastage that took place. And the time has come for us to actually file suit and chase justice in the interest of the public. It seems to me that when the PNM was in power, we had the Beach Commission of Inquiry, the Airport Commission of Inquiry, $75 million on CLICO, $75 million on the airport matter, is 75 million. And we had the landed matter under the Justice Seeley Commission of Inquiry. So much money is spent in pursuing justice when the PNM is in power, quite legitimately. No one said beep. But when another government is in power, if they spend 1 red cent to pursue social justice and fraud against the PNM, then you have all sorts of criticism and all sorts of allegations coming at the Attorney General. This is not PNM country. It is not UNC country. It is not COP country. This is Trinidad and Tobago. Respect for the Constitution and the rule of law demands that no one is above the law, and we are all subject to the law. And that is precisely what will happen. And whether you're PNM, UNC, or COP, MSJ or NJAC, we must all be subject to the law.
Do you plan to take action against Dr. Rowley because of that?
I do intend to sue Dr. Rowley for defamation arising out of that newspaper report where he alleged that there was some sort of political conspiracy between the judge that decided the Galbraithing and Ferguson case and the Office of the Attorney General. I think it is a scandalous, malicious, wicked allegation, and it is one that has brought his office into grave disrepute. It is one thing to be disappointed in a judgment, as I was. It was my order to extradite Mr. Galbraithing and Mr. Ferguson. That is a matter for my discretion and law. I could have chosen not to do so. I chose to, in fact, order the extradition. The court has quashed that decision. Obviously, I may be disappointed by that. But personal disappointment and professional commitment to the Constitution are two things that cannot exist in the public domain from politicians. Dr. Rowley was wrong and has been carrying on a long but not so proud but seemingly cherished tradition of the PNM with attacking the judiciary when it suits them. You may recall when I did the case of Firoza Ramjan against then Prime Minister Patrick Manning. It was a serving cabinet minister in Parliament who dubbed the Justice Amrika Tiwari a UNC judge. That case and that judgment was upheld by the Court of Appeal. It was upheld by the Privy Council. In fact, Mr. Manning himself appealed that case to the Privy Council when he lost in the Court of Appeal. And it was only a month ago that the Privy Council ruled in favor of Firoza Ramchan. That dispels any notion about the judge being a UNC judge. But likewise in the Mahasabha radio license case, likewise in the case of Marlene Kudre, Devant Maraj, Ganga Prasad Kisun, whenever they lost, they sought to attack and criticize the judiciary. And that is not right, and it will not be tolerated in Trinidad and Tobago. I've written the Honorable Chief Justice, the President of the Law Association, and the Director of Public Prosecution, because I am of the view that Dr. Rowley committed a contempt of court. I have called upon them to take such action as they deem appropriate and fit in their own wisdom and judgment.